Veganism. Let's talk about veganism. Let's talk about the rise of the vegan movement. It's kind of putting a lot of people in at the moment. People are getting drawn to it. Now, if you're a vegan, awesome. If that's something that you're into for health reasons, maybe you've found it to be better suited to your body, awesome. That's great for you. Cool, fantastic. You do what you like. However, if you are a vegan who is trying to persuade others based on moral grounds, this is what we need to address. We need to address the issue of morality, of whether veganism is morally good and whether eating meat is bad and morally wrong. And this is what the vegan activists do. They try and appeal to the conscience. You know, you've probably seen them. You've seen them out in the streets with the TVs strapped to their chests, and they've got videos playing of cows being slaughtered and chickens and sheep, and there's blood everywhere, and in the factories and the storehouses, in the mega factories that they are. They're trying to appeal to the conscience to say, look, this is murder, this is violence, this is abuse. And this is the agenda that they're pushing, that look, this is really, really evil. Well, I've been speaking with the activists, and they have some very fundamental flaws in what they believe. And we've got to take it back to the foundation of what is going on. Number one, they're campaigning, they're standing against murder. Now, my biggest question to them has been, what's wrong with murder? Who says murder's wrong? And when I ask that question, it kind of stumps them, because we all know murder's wrong. We all know, violence and abuse is evil. We all know that. We don't need to really be told that. However, in some cultures, murder's okay. In some cultures, they eat other human beings. In many cultures and religions around the world, there is sacrifice, there is slaughter, not just of animals, but of people. It's been like that all throughout history, and it continues to happen today. So murder happens, and in some places and cultures around the world, murder is okay. So who's to say murder is wrong? That's my first question. Based on what? And they were never really able to answer. It's really interesting. I mean, is it when the society says it's wrong, then it's wrong? Because there are societies that say it's okay. Cannibalism is alive today in certain tribes and places. So why is murder wrong? Based on what? And what is it that is okay to kill and isn't? And they talk about sentience. They talk about, look, if something has feelings and sensations, then we shouldn't be killing it. But again, let's take it back. Who says murder is wrong? Says who? Do you say it's wrong? Based on what? On what principle do you have the right to say that murder is wrong? Now, I started addressing them from the concept of having a God, a creator. And when I've been speaking to these activists, what they have is basically their belief is, we've evolved, that we are simply animals. And this is one of the first flaws, that they think that we're just animals. No, we are not just animals. You are not just an animal. You've been created to be reformed and changed and transformed into the image of God. You have been created by God as a human to have dominion over the animals, to be something more than the animals. So this is the first thing, you are not just an animal. And I was really trying to get this point across to the activists. I'm saying you are not an animal. You are not just some, advanced monkey that's here today and maybe a little bit clever and has a couple of extra limbs on your body or whatever. No, you're not an animal. You're something more than that. You have so much more value than an animal. That's the first thing. And as I was sharing this activist did not like it, because I was trying to put God in the picture. And she said to me, look, let's take God out of the picture and let's discuss, this issue of murder. I said, no, I can't take God out of the picture, because this is the foundation. You have one or two ways. Either you've been evolved from a bunch of rock soup and you're just an advanced monkey and your cousin is a banana, or you've been created by God with intention, with purpose, with value higher above the animals. It's one of those two things. Second thing you have to acknowledge then is whether there's a God or not. If there's no God, let's live how we like. Let's murder. Why not? Who cares? Let's rape. Why not? Who cares? Who says rape is wrong? They say that rape is happening to the animals, that the animals are getting raped and abused and so on and so on. If that's the case, who says rape is wrong? Based on what? On what grounds? If you don't believe in a God who has absolute standards of morality, of what is right and what is wrong, who are you to say? You have no right to say that murder is wrong, that rape is wrong, that violence is wrong. So this is one of the things that people really don't like to accept, is that there is a God. Because if there is a God, he has a standard. He has a standard of what is morally acceptable. If there is a God, that means that you have been created with intent and purpose. You are not an animal. And these activists cannot, I'm still waiting to really be challenged by that. Because these activists of veganism do not have any sort of grounds to argue about being morally good. They have no grounds to say, you have no grounds if you're a vegan morally and you're trying to push a moral agenda of being a good person. What is good? Based on what? Because when we compare ourselves to other societies, in some societies, they kill. And it's good to them. And they believe that they're doing a good thing. They think it's a very good thing when they kill, when they murder, when they eat other humans even. So the real question you need to address is, where does your standard for morality come from? What is it based on? And we think, look, I get it. I get it that the vegans are trying to be good people. They want to make the world a better place. Fantastic, I get that. This is the desire of many people. We want the world to be a better place, right? We want less suffering. We want less violence. And yes, so much stuff is not done in a humane way. So much stuff is based on greed and gluttony and this overconsumption of food. Absolutely, I'm not advocating for that at all. I'm all for organic, natural, homegrown stuff, farmers doing it the right way, not overfeeding, not packing the animals into, bad conditions. I'm all for fighting against that. Fantastic, that's great. But in terms of our morality and our conscience and making us better people, who's to say we're better for murdering or not murdering? When it comes to eating food, Jesus was pretty clear about that. He made it very simple, and he basically shared that, look, it doesn't matter what you eat. It's not about what you eat. It's more about what comes out of your heart, what comes out, not what goes in, but what comes out. He said it's not that which goes into the mouth that defiles a man or that makes you unclean, but that which comes out of the mouth, that defiles a man. So it wasn't about whether you're eating animals, whether you're eating pigs or cows or fish or not. He was saying what is coming out of your heart, and it's out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks. So the real issue is, where is our heart at based on morality? Vegans, maybe you think you're good people, but you know what Jesus said about murder? He said, maybe you've never murdered a person or an animal, but have you ever had anger towards someone without a cause? Have you ever had hatred towards someone without a cause? If so, you've already committed murder in your heart. You see, that is the standard of God. If you're going to go about murder, let's look at God's standard of murder. And who of us can say that out of our heart we've never had anger or hatred or a grudge or bitterness towards someone? According to our Creator, we've already murdered. All of us are murderers. We've all hated, we've all been angry without the right reasons, without a cause. And so actually, maybe you vegans aren't as good as you think you are. Maybe we're all not as good as we think we are. So we've got to address the standard of God. So God has given us dominion. In Genesis, when He created man and woman, God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth. So, as humans that we are not animals. And another thing I like to touch on is that so many young people, I meet too many young people, from school, from high school, who are depressed and suicidal. And the reason, a big part of that is because of the belief system of evolution, which tells us that we are just animals. And I was trying to argue with this activist. I was saying, you are not an animal. Don't let the enemy rob you of who you really are. See, God has created humans, something different to the animals, something higher than the animals. And the young people today, because we believe we're just animals, we take God out of the picture, we take a creator out of the picture, and we live how we like. And in fact, many people act and live like animals because that's what they believe they are. You believe you're just an advanced monkey. But what's the alternative? The alternative is there is a God. There is a God who's created us, and we are intended to be made in his image. There is a God who's given us free will. There's a God who's given us a conscience, and that conscience has been numbed a little bit because we're not quite sure now. We're trying to blur the lines of what is good and what is evil. We're trying to twist things. We're trying to twist things that are good to be evil and evil to be good. So to wrap it up, if you're a vegan and you're pushing the agenda based on morality, where does your morality come from? Is it based on the collective? Is it based on where if we all just advance to a high level of consciousness and we all understand that murder is wrong and we all stop eating animal products and the world will be a better place? No, the issue is the heart. And you'll never be able to clean your heart. You'll never be able to truly change your heart and be set free from the things of your heart until you get forgiven and born again and given a new heart. You see, out of our evil heart, there is going to be murder because there is going to be anger and hatred. And that's what we see around the world. It manifests in different ways, but the issue starts with the heart. So we need to take it back to the creator. Vegans, if you're in it for the health benefits, cool, awesome, all for you. I totally get that, that's fantastic. But if you're trying to be a morally good person, you need to think again. Because the chances are you're probably denying that there's a God. You're probably denying that there's a creator who has set absolute standards of right and wrong. If you turn to the creator and his ways, he can change your heart from the inside. That's what's going to change the world. Not by not eating meat and not eating cows. All right, so is there a God? Is there a creator? What do you believe you are? Do you believe you're just a mere animal? You've evolved? You're just out of Big Bang and all that garbage? Or do you believe that you've been wonderfully created, intelligently designed, and been given the free will from our creator God how to live? And what do you choose? Do you want to follow his ways? Do you want to follow his morality? Or do you want to follow your own way?